to tonight's Board of Health meeting for Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. Just a reminder, we are being recorded. Anyone who approaches the desk, please identify yourself and your affiliation. Thank you. We'll do roll call.
John Pickner here.
Joyce Gilmore here.
Colleen Straponi here.
Jack McCullough here. Alan Greenberg here. Thank you. Next item, good and welfare for the public. Do we have anybody in the audience that has anything to offer for good and welfare for the public? Seeing any hands? All right, we're going to move on to new business. We're going to skip over 4A for now. And we're going to go to 4B, tobacco establishment violations from 9/16/2025 visit. Colleen?
On September 16th, 2025, myself and Kathleen Dupla from the Massachusetts Alliance for Tobacco Compliance performed compliance checks on the tobacco vendors in the town of Mendon. And unfortunately, we found some violations. If you want, Mr. Chairman, we can start with Gasco Fuels first.
Absolutely.
Kathleen, if you want to, Kathleen Duper is also available, and she would speak to the board regarding inspections.
Very good. Feel free to chime in whenever necessary, ma'am.
Okay, so this is in regards to Gasco Fuel, 25 Cape Road, on September 16th during the routine tobacco inspection. An unlocked humidor was found.
Was locked. You broke it. The lock was locked.
Sir.
Okay, she better know what she's talking about.
Sir, when you've come in the past,
Yeah, okay.
we've always shown you respect.
I'm very respectable. I shouldn't be here. The
Sir,
lock was locked. The lock was locked. She
Sir.
pulled on the side and she broke it and it fell down and it was locked.
Sir,
Okay,
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 we want to keep this very respectful.
okay, very respectable. I'm very respectable of the law and I shouldn't be here. Go ahead.
To be respectful, sir, you need to let the young lady speak.
Okay, let her talk.
I apologize, please.
Thank you. Upon entering Gasco Fuel as part of my routine tobacco inspection, I approached the humidor and slid the door open. The lock that was on the glass fell to the floor. There was no force used. I opened them as I would if I were a consumer. There were also found to be coupons on cigarettes. This retailer has a prior underage sale violation. So the fining options for these violations would be 1 visit, 1 violation, second violation of Massachusetts law with a $2,000 fine, along with a 7-day suspension of tobacco sales permit, or stacking the fines, making the unlocked humidor this retailer's second violation for a $2,000 fine, and the coupons a third violation with an additional $5,000 and 30-day suspension of their tobacco sales permit.
Thank you.
I was present with Kathleen. We approached the humidor. There was no force used. The lock fell onto the floor, just hit me in the foot. There wasn't any force used. I don't know what the situation was with the lock, but it did come right off and fell down on the floor. There were cigarettes for sale on site with a coupon clearly on them. So I concur with what Kathleen is presenting to the board.
Okay.
We talked to Abe. Abe came down. Abe was aware. We told him about the lock and about the coupons.
Sir, you
The
have,
law, we
have
don't sell cigars, okay? That the humidor was sitting there, okay? Maybe it was dry, but it was locked. The key is in the drawer with the cash register. It's been there forever. This is number one. And now I have signed on it's not for sale. It's too big to move, okay? I have signed, we don't sell the cigarette there, the cigars. The cigar, it's not even working. There is no humidor, there is no nothing, okay? This is one. And the kid who worked there, okay, he said the lock was pulled because it's been closed. Now, maybe she didn't pull too hard. Maybe it was fragile, but it was locked. The lock was fell on the ground and it's locked. Now the lock failed. It's different between unlock and the lock fail. This is what I have signed now. We never sold any cigarette, and I can bring 1 year of sale. We don't sell cigars. This is manufacturer. They put on the cigarette 35 safe. Okay, we sell it minimum what the state required. It's nobody. You go to any store, you find these, buy the cigarette. Pepsi, they can have 30%. You still pay $1.99 for the Pepsi. This is not bringing a coupon. This is not a coupon. State law allow this. Now, the town, they want to make their own law. This stop selling cigarette, that's fine. But this is not. This is state approved. The town want to make vote on it. You want to send. You cannot sell the cigarette. Nobody will sell them. I called the manufacturer. I called J. Pollock, where we buy the cigarette from. They said that these are allowed because manufacturer. You're still paying the same price for this, but this is part of saying it's sale. It's you save them money. Okay. So this is not my problem. This is the town. You want to change the law. You want to make a law. You send papers. You cannot sell anything with a coupon. It's a state allow you to sell it. It's manufacturer. This should have been not told or sold. Bringing me here for this. Okay. Second, Jack, he went to my store. He said, if I come, you ask me for ID. The state law say under 27. You can look at the state law. Now, you want to make a law? You send me a mail, certified mail, and I'll abide by the law. You can't just bring me here for cigarette, okay, that it's manufactured this way. It's inside. You have to take it. And you cannot.
excuse me, may I?
Yes,
Not
here. I brought them with me. You cannot take this and say, give me 35%. This is minimum. We sell. Yes, you can keep them. We're not selling them anymore. And the tobacco, they don't take them back.
Ed, the picture you were trying to show us on the phone, is that a picture of the humidor?
Yes,
Okay.
look, I put the lock, they put, I guess, the glue on it, it dries. Yeah, I have two pictures. This is where you open it. Okay, there is a handle. And this is the lock, and it's locked.
So that was.
This is a lock. You cannot open it this way or this way. The lock. When you push this way, the lock doesn't open. If you push this way, it doesn't open. There is a knob here. It fell on the ground when they tried to open it.
You open it by trying to, you were trying to open it.
Yes, yes. You take the lock off.
And this would prevent somebody from opening it theoretically.
Yes. And when they tried to open it, this lady, it fell on the floor. So I said, why you don't have it unlocked? And the guy, he said, it's locked. It's just broke.
And then for that to be.
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Thompson. All right, so. Thank you. All right, what I want to do is I want to give my,
So I want to say one thing. After they left, I find over 20 pack with different cigarette. I just kept these two. I don't want to carry it. They all have the coupon, but the coupon that it's not allowed by the state, as I talked to the lawyer. You have to bring a coupon and say, I want the discount. Like it's attached, you can tear it and bring it. This is manufacturer. It's by the company who made these cigarettes. Okay. And believe me, as I said, like I said, different brand, they have many coupon on them.
Mhm.
They just see one. I find this brand, and other brand too, Winston, I think.
If I may. I want to give my fellow board members an opportunity to ask you some questions.
Yes.
And then I have one question for you, and we'll decide how to proceed, okay?
I can't get the picture back.
Last time I was here, okay, I didn't have any defense and I knew what it was wrong and I said nothing. But this time it's like, you know, how can you just know about laws, okay, if you don't get notified and educated about it? You know, we all know what tobacco do, but we have to get educated, okay? You can't just say, watch for a guy getting $15.50 an hour for everything unless we are told.
No, sir, I totally agree with you, and that has always been Colleen's approach, to educate first. All right, so we're in agreement. I want to give my fellow board members an opportunity to
Okay.
ask you some questions, or to ask questions of Colleen, for the young lady at home,
Kathleen.
Kathleen?
Yep.
Okay. Tom, you first?
Well, I'll actually defer, citing the art of chivalry, I'll defer to my associate,
Joyce, any questions?
No, but I just know how difficult that is, and it's,
Believe me, it's not about the money.
Right.
I would not like to be dragged when I'm trying to always do the right thing of things unknown, okay? Or things happen for whatever reason. You guys, you should be understanding. If the lock fall on the ground, you should have said, look, if it's locked or not. You know, I can come to a locked door, pull on it, and it open, but it was locked. The lock was locked because when you take it, you turn the key, okay, you can see the knob and the back go in, so you can slide the door. It's simple.
and
So
it's
it
not-
wasn't open because it was never open for years. It's just the size of the humidor. It's twice as big as this door. And we don't use it. I smoke cigar. I never smoke cigar there. They're all dry, they're trash. Okay, it's just, I've been thinking, if one day I want to sell, I can use it. The humidor doesn't work in it. I just paid $300 and I moved it. It was heavy. I don't want to throw it away. It's simple.
Yeah, that's fine. Tom? Your turn?
well, based on the photograph, it appears there was a lock on it. Based on how that humidor works, I originally was thinking it might have been like a little old, like a loop type. But seeing how that piece was, it looks like it was attached. But I guess apparently when you tried to open the door,
Fell right off
it
onto the
fell
floor.
off, right?
I picked it up.
Yep.
And wasn't there anything in that humidor?
There were cigars in there, old cigars. They've been in there for a long time. And I highly doubt that they were ever sold. But that's not the issue.
No, I just was wondering.
So, I mean, just in kind of looking at the letter that was sent as far as describing the violations, you know, it says unlocked, but, you know, looking visually at the picture display itself, there was a lock there. It may have been, sound like it was obviously faulty. So I don't know if that categorizes itself as being unlocked as opposed to no lock at all being on the display, as opposed, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or it being keyed unlocked so somebody could slide it easily. Say in this case, there was a defect in the lock for whatever reason. But it appeared as though it was in a quote unquote locked state as opposed to being unlocked. With regard to the coupon citing, I understand there's a difference here between coupons and discounts. Am I correct on that, Kathleen?
Would you like me to read the 105 CMR section regarding unlocked humidors and coupons for you for the board to consider?
Yes, please, if you want to read that section.
Okay. I'll start with the unlocked humidor. 665 2.010, section B, retail establishments other than retail tobacco stores or smoking bars, that would be adult only, shall not place any tobacco product on the counter, but shall place all tobacco products for sale behind the counter where retail sales are made in the establishment and out of reach of consumers. With regard to prohibition on coupons and other discounts, 665.025 states, no person shall accept or redeem, offer to accept or redeem, or cause or hire any person to accept or redeem, or offer to accept or redeem any coupon that provides any tobacco product without charge or for less than the listed or non-discounted price. No retail establishment that is not a retail tobacco store, meaning adult only, or smoking bar, or any other establishment shall distribute or cause to be distributed a free sample or of a tobacco product. So the key line here is for less than the listed or non-discounted price. So Colleen and I checked the price that they were selling the non-couponed products and then checked the price of the couponed product, and they did not match. The coupon product was being sold for less. The retailer does have the authorization. They have the right to refuse delivery of products that are packaged with coupons on the label. They do not have to accept those products from the distributor.
So I take that language though as only, as I'm reading it, only covering a couponed item or a free sample. And my understanding is, although it's that section's highlighted prohibition on coupons and other discounts, I'm not reading language that actually specifically cites discounts. I see the language pertaining to coupon, meaning something that a customer would give retailer to take something off of a product, and then that retailer gets reimbursed by the manufacturer or distributor of the product. That, as I understand, is a coupon transaction versus a discounted product. And my understanding is there's a difference between coupons and discounts in the tobacco world.
Well,
So
I will read for you the definition of coupon in the CMR. Coupon means any card, paper, note, form, statement, ticket, or other communication distributed for commercial or promotional purposes to be later surrendered by the bearer so as to receive an article, service, or accommodation without charge or at a discount price. So you can determine how you interpret that.
I don't know if that changes the view I'm presenting, to be honest with you.
Do you have any further questions?
Not any further questions per se of the gentleman of Abe. I did have some points about the letter itself that went out to them.
Okay.
So how we presented this letter to them, it was titled Notice of Second Violation of the Town of Mendon Tobacco Regulations and a Notice of Hearing for the 7-day revocation of your license to sell tobacco in the Town of Mendon. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
So we use the term revocation there, and I don't think we're even talking about a revocation of a license. I think we're talking potentially a suspension. And I believe there's a difference in the terms between suspend and revoke. That was one thing I noticed from a presentation perspective. I know we also say it has on there Gasco Fuel violated the state law entitled an act to modernize tobacco control, which is fine, and 105 CMR 665 and the appropriate section. think we might have kind of miscited the 665 in the violation part itself. We put 101B. I think we probably intended to put 010B, because 101B doesn't exist in 665. Probably just a typo there. The other part is in the kind of the bottom of the second violation itself, where we say within a 36-month period from the first violation, a fine of $2,000 and a permit suspension for at least 1 day and up to 7 consecutive days as required by state law, or for a longer term as promulgated by or in a local regulation. But I think the part about permit suspension may actually be a bit of a conflict, as I see it, between what I'm seeing the violation phrase in state law says in 665. There's some room for discussion possibly on that. Okay, yeah. And those are kind of the points I had. There's in my mind, a little bit of an inconsistency in applying maybe what might be a violation. I think the verbiage maybe in that section that Kathleen has quoted could probably be become a little bit more specific in my view, because in my view, it only covers what says to be a coupon or free sample. And in my understanding, a coupon is somebody handing a coupon in, and then the retailer takes the coupon, takes the price off a product, and then gets reimbursed. So I'm seeing it a little differently.
Okay. My question, sir, I just want to make sure I understand this. The humidor is not in use. You do not use the humidor.
I do not use it. I don't have any sign saying we sell cigars or nothing.
Humidor had a lock.
Yes,
on it.
yes.
My understanding is there were some very old cigars in the humidor.
In the humidor, and the humidor doesn't work. It's a closet. They've been left there. This is how I bought it.
The signage that you showed us, was that on the humidor?
On the humidor, I put it after they went for the inspection because the law,
Okay.
yeah. Now I have the signs, so I don't want
But
even,
the signs
not for sale, I have 2
The
signs.
signs weren't there at the time of the inspection.
No, they were not.
Okay, so anybody that walked into the store, walked over to the humidor and saw cigars in the
But,
humidor.
yes, go ahead.
My turn?
Yeah.
Saw the cigars in the humidor, could safely assume that those cigars were for sale. And seeing the lock on the humidor, they make the assumption they need to go to the attendant to purchase the cigars.
Yes,
Okay. Now, there are many things that can have a lock on them and still be unlocked. A car door has a lock.
yes.
If we don't engage the lock, the door isn't locked. It's possible, based on the inspection, that the lock was on the humidor, but not locked.
It's locked. It fell down because it wouldn't open, it fell down.
Sir?
Yeah.
My turn.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the lock was on the humidor, secure the cigars that were in the humidor that no one knew whether or not they were for sale, and the inspectors go in and slide the door, and the lock comes off, it's safe to make the assumption that
You can assume, but you can check the lock why it fell on the ground. I mean, it wasn't still there and it opened.
it very possibly was unlocked.
Okay, there is
Okay,
logical
so
to everything.
I'm trying to, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
We have experts that advise us, okay, that do the inspections. All right? You're a business in town. We represent you too. We want to make sure that we fully understand.
Okay. All right.
I don't know a lot about this coupon thing. I would have assumed that it was a coupon that was affixed onto the outside of the package.
Mhm.
And like Tom, that you would redeem in some fashion. So I have to rely on the experts as to how this coupon thing works. I'm surprised that the distributor, if they're illegal in Massachusetts, that the distributor is even distributing them.
As a distributor though, they're not necessarily familiar with Commonwealth of Massachusetts rules and regulations. They're just distributing tobacco. You know, it's,
Well, and as Kathleen mentioned, the store, the purchaser has the right to refuse the delivery
Mhm.
if the delivery is not accepted.
correct.
So a delivery, if I'm understanding this correctly, ladies, a delivery that comes into Massachusetts that has coupons, if the vendor sees that and they know the law that coupons aren't allowed in Massachusetts, they should refuse delivery. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing too is when annually, when an applicant applies for a tobacco permit, they also sign a document as part of the application process saying that they have read the tobacco regulations and their contents, and they check off all the individual parts of the regulations and they sign it.
Yes, sir.
These are legal in the state of Massachusetts. Okay? And the distributor is one big distributor. He distributes, it doesn't say on the carton anything. You open it and you find these. These are inside. It's like I go to buy this jacket, they have 30% off. I don't bring a coupon. Now, I didn't make this law. They find ways to go around it. So let's say I can refuse. How do I refuse something I don't even know about? Did you guys send anything from the town to me saying anything with any kind of discount? You don't. You know what I watch for? And it's a big job. Every week they change the price of the tobacco. Every week, honestly. So I have to go and make sure I don't sell any product below the state minimum to raise the price. So with all this hard work, now these things, how do I know? I find many with these. And when I called the J. Pollock, the distributor, okay, they said these are legal by the state. We can sell them in the state. Then I looked the state law, anything that the coupon that you don't hand after the sale, and you say 50%, 30% coupon, okay. Now, I'm not informed. How can I be liable for something I'm not informed? Now, you said something about the law. Maybe, like my mother, get rest her soul. She used to lock the door. After she locked it, she turned and she made sure. I didn't do that. But I don't feel I'm at fault because when the lock fell, I would think if they're investigating, they could take a second to see if it's still locked or not. That's it. Okay? It could have been a very simple misunderstanding, malfunction, but the law, it fell. It wasn't there and they slide it and it's still there. You can't open it when it's up there because there is notch on this side and from this side, the lock. You can't move it this way or this way. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Colleen and Kathleen,
Yes.
heard the discussion. I'm gonna ask for your advice on how to rule.
At this time, there is current pending litigation regarding coupons. I would recommend that the board does not fine on the coupon issue until that is settled and there is a precedent that has been set. However, with regards to the humidor, I think that that is a very clear violation of not having products entirely behind the shelf that consumers do not have access to. So I would fine on that.
Can I say one more thing? Very simple.
Again,
Oh,
please.
okay.
Colleen,
And adhere to the regulation. The regulation clearly states that the humidor should be locked. The lock was in place It absolutely was. It was the same as it ever was. However, when it was moved, the lock fell off, but the lock was there. The regulation requires it to be locked. I'm gonna stand with the regulation.
Okay. Tom?
I would have to lean toward not citing not citing them for the violations that have been
For both.
both.
Joyce?
Well, I tend to agree with Colleen in terms of what you see happened.
Mhm.
And, you know, you can't do anything that way. If it fell off, it was not on properly.
Do we need to make motions to hand down the violation? Help me.
If you want to vote for the violation, yes, I would vote.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
To Kathleen's point regarding the coupons. So, and that would apply to two other vendors present, this evening for the board to hold off until that is, there's a ruling on that.
mhm,
So I would say as far as Gasco goes, it would just be the humidor tonight.
okay, and we'll take it at this one instance first.
Mhm.
Now, so what's the fine if we were to take the suggestion of leaving the coupon issue at this time? What would the fine be for the humidor?
Same.
$2,000,
2,000?
correct.
Now, what about the
Suspension of sales?
That would be up to 7 days,
okay,
right, Kathleen?
Well, according to the state law, it is up to 7 days. According to your local violations, a second violation is a 7-day suspension. There is no up to language.
I'm reading here, permit suspension for at least 1 day and up to 7. So is 1 day an option?
1 day is an option, but there was an establishment that we've had prior to us for a second violation. We did suspend them for 7 consecutive business days.
Okay. So board members, make a decision based on what we've heard and the recommendations of governing secting parties. Um, Tom, I kind of got your thoughts and Joyce's thoughts and mine, but we have to kind of put them together into a motion of some kind. So I guess the motion would be take the recommendation of our health inspector and Associate Kathleen to not rule on the coupon issue at this time, but to fine on the lock for the humidor, the $2,000 fine and the at least 1 day suspension and up to 7. So I guess that's sort of what the motion would have to be, and we'll take a vote.
Okay.
After we take a vote, can the suspension be negotiated, or do we have to set that in the motion?
Set
You
it
can
in
make
the
it-
motion.
Motion.
Yeah.
All right, so going along with that, do we want to do a 1 up to 7? As part of the motion.
So you could do one because, and has any more malfunction,
All right, but we do have to keep in mind that in the past, we've done a 7.
right?
All right, so I guess I'm gonna make the decision.
Yeah.
In order to keep it consistent,
Okay,
part of the motion that we need to make would be a 7-day suspension. So based on all that mess, we need someone to make a motion. and then we'll take a vote. Mr. Tom, I need you to make that motion.
To require a 7-day suspension. And let that happen.
Okay, along with the $2,000 fine. And this is just for the lock on the unit.
Right.
We got that? Is that official enough? Take a vote. Tom?
Tom, nay.
Joyce?
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye.
Can I appeal this? Because next time I'm bringing my lawyer, okay? I want to know if I can appeal it, if I have time and how much time. Because there is a chair in front of the humidor, the gas attendant sit on it, and there is no access to the door, okay? It's a chair sitting right in front of the door, right at the window. That's where the gas attendant outside sits. So
Is there
people, they can't just walk in.
is there an appeal process?
Say.
Can
That it
we-
would be through, to the court.
Okay.
The court? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Can I have a letter, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you. Okay. Sunny Farms.
Well, with that being said, Mr. Chairman, Sunny Farms Amended Wine and Spirits, they are also a coupon violation, so therefore those should not be spoken about until the litigation has been finalized.
Okay.
How are
So
you?
they're free to go.
All right. Is there anything on that you want to address?
Not necessarily directly, given what Kathleen has told us about what's happening with the coupon verbiage. Just that again, I think presentation on the letters that went out. There were some inaccuracies to them.
Okay. Joyce?
Yeah, I think we have to just do the same thing that we were doing with him, say,
Okay.
what happens. It's
You've
not-
obviously been made aware of this situation.
Yes.
The only recommendation that I could make is have discussions with your distributor. And try to keep up to date on how the state rules on this, to prevent any issues. Colleen, any comments?
I just, what Alan said, I would be more diligent when
I
the
will.
distributor delivers your product to go through it and inspect any tobacco product that may have coupon and refuse delivery.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So, thank you. You guys came this September and the beginning of the year, right? And
Yeah.
you literally tell me what to do. We did everything, whatever you said, put the coupon, lock the door, everything price wise. And this was delivered in 2024. So that's another thing. We didn't get anything after you guys came in the beginning of the year. So look, like I went and I said, where did I get this? So we found this was delivered in 2024. So after 2025, you guys came, we didn't get anything like this. So it looked like this is a very old stock because our cigarette is very down. And menthol we don't have, so we barely sell. So this was sitting in my counter. One pack when you guys came, one pack of cigarette in my counter, 50 cents off. So everything, I didn't have anything except one pack in my store. So you guys saw.
Unfortunately, as
Yes.
you just saw,
I know.
it can still come back.
I know, no, we already know now.
We just went through. you know,
Yes, yes,
A lot of discussions.
yes.
Not everybody leaves the room happy.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I will be very careful calling no. I am the one of the ones straight. I'm like a horse. When they say don't do, I won't do it.
all right.
Promise. So
Well, thank you very much.
thank you so much. So we don't have to pay.
You know what to be on the lookout for.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. As a small business, we make 50 cents here, 50 cents there, and $1,000 is lots of money for the small store like us.
No, we understand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it.
Good.
You guys make my day.
All right, we're gonna. move
Thank
on.
you so much.
And wine and spirits, please.
So it's the same thing, coupon.
All right, so you've
We'll
heard,
have to wait.
you've heard the story twice, sir.
Yeah, so I have two things I want to say.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Just identify yourself, so.
yeah. So my name is Kirit Patel, and I am a manager for Mendon Wine and Spirits on 32 Hastings Street in Mendon. And the cigarette we had like this in our store since 2020, the same cigarette. And this was like fifth inspection. Prior for inspection, we had these cigarettes at the same place, same position. And we have, after every inspection, after finishing the inspection, I asked them, like if everything is okay, and they said everything is okay. So it passed for inspection. Same cigarette. We never bought after 2020. And to my surprise, like this time they said like you are in violation and you have to pay $1,000 fine. Another thing I saw here is like regulation of the Mendon Board of Health restricting the sale of tobacco products came in April 2024. So it is defining coupon here, like it says something that must be surrendered by the bearer to receive a discount. These packs do not appear to meet that definition. The cigarette packs in question were manufacturer printed with 50 cents off on the packaging. They were purchased from a licensed Massachusetts wholesaler, and each pack had a valid state tax stamp. These were not part of any coupon or redemption program. There was nothing a customer had to present or give a coupon for to receive a discount. The packs were simply discounted by the manufacturer, came to us at a lower wholesale cost, and were sold at a correspondingly lower price, with our profit margin staying the same. So if you see this regulation, like it says like something to surrender. And we look at the regulations town provides us.
And those are the Mendon regulations?
Yeah.
But you're being charged with the state regulations, coupon, not the Mendon regulations. That's what you're being fined on. So the coupon differential in definition may vary, but the fine is for the state's coupon violation, not Mendon's.
Okay, so like we don't like read the laws, but we are going by like whatever the paperwork we get from the town, because we work in the store, so we don't have time to read all laws. But we get like simply whatever the regulation we get, we will get.
Comments, questions on this particular?
Well,
And the main thing is, sorry, one second.
I'm sorry.
Main thing is like for inspection, like I specifically asked after the inspection and they said like these are okay. Everything is okay means like
So-
these were there,
Those cigarettes have been on the shelf for 4 years?
5 years.
Okay.
It is not selling. Actually, this was pushed by the manufacturer. We didn't like it, but and it was unordered. Like they were adding in our order, the manufacturer and wholesaler sent them.
Okay,
We never ordered that.
okay. If I may, Tom?
well, it's unfortunate that product having been on the shelf all those years and never having been cited in the past inspections. And this time it's cited. But the same situation as the others with this violation, it's, you know how we're going to address it.
Joyce?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Doesn't make sense. in those terms and things, but again, it is the law. And we are sort of victims of having to follow the law of the state.
My suggestion, sir, is, I know the board is gonna watch this coupon situation closely. I suggest that you and whatever organizations you belong to, also watch this coupon situation, to see how the state finally rules. And I would take those off the shelf.
No, they already removed when they inspected and we put it aside. So we are not like having those on the shelf anymore.
And that way,
And
they have
we
the
had-
next inspection, they won't be on the shelf, and you won't have any issues.
It
But
should be in the trash can.
Huh?
I said they should probably be in the trash can.
Yeah. So we told the distributor, like, take it back because we paid for that.
Oh,
So they said like, talk to the manufacturer. So I'm talking to them.
okay. And, again, you heard the cases, prior to your presence. So all you can do is, try to educate yourself when Colleen comes in. Feel free to ask her questions. I'm sure Kathleen would, answer questions also.
Yeah, but that's why we asked the question like, is everything okay? Like in 2024, and this was there at the same place.
Well,
and
that's kind of a odd question.
No, but they were looking all cigarettes for like state tax
Right,
stamp.
right. Well, again, it
We
depends,
checked those also.
it depends upon the position that those cigarettes were at that 2024
Same
inspection.
position
Yeah.
for 5 years. Same slot, no change.
And now they're off the shelf,
Yes.
right? There are no
No.
cigarettes in your rack with coupons on them. So you're good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. So we don't have to pay or
No,
we are
no,
not in violation.
That issue is on hold for now.
Okay.
Kathleen's suggestion was to, and Colleen concurred that we're gonna check with the state and see what their final decision is.
Okay, so it will,
You're good to go.
okay, thank you
for
very
now, for now,
much. For now,
for now, you're good to go.
okay. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, sir.
When we get more information from the state, then you will be, it will be explained again to you, and if they say you have to pay a fine, then it's not
Also,
our,
they may put us in violation again.
but we don't know that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to follow through with that for you. Make sure that we're being fair. But we have to follow the state requirements as well.
Because we are in business since 2012 and never got any violation for tobacco products.
Right.
So we try to follow like all rules. We ask them and whatever they say, we try to follow that. We read the papers like whatever the town provides. So that's what we can do.
Well, even after you read them, but what we provide you, if you have questions, please ask the questions.
But you can see like this, if you read like these two lines, then you will have a clear idea like what coupon is.
No, I understand what you're saying. At this time, the coupon issue is on hold.
Yeah, so it won't be like again back like after hearing the state, like we can have like violation again for these, like the old thing.
Those aren't on the shelf anymore,
No,
and you're working with the manufacturer to take them back.
yes.
So when your orders come in, to be on the safe side, check for coupons.
Yeah.
But as
Now we won't have this anymore.
as Joyce said, we're gonna update you. We're gonna update everybody on this list
Sure.
that had coupon issues when we find out what the state's final decision is.
Yeah, so we don't want to sell if it is in violation, like we are going to remove this forever. Like we don't have any interest in selling this.
And you're gonna be all set then, sir.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, Mendon Vape and Smoke Shop, 15 Uxbridge Road. Jack, Colleen, any?
Mendon Vape and Smoke, was cited for, a, flavored, tobacco product.
Good evening. Gentlemen, please identify yourself and the establishment you come from.
My name is Sayed Nasir. I am co-owner of Mendon Vape and Smoke.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Attorney Hyman Stramer, and I'm representing Mr. Nasser this evening before the board.
Very good, thank you. Kathleen, you want to fill us in on Mendon Vape and Smoke Shop, please?
Kathleen, you muted?
Thank you. On September 16th of 2025, during a routine inspection with Colleen, Mendon Vape and Smoke Shop was found to be selling flavor enhancing product, which falls under CMR 665.010D. The HH brand of hemp wraps in flavors and Twisted Hemp brand. If the board would like, I will read the definition of a tobacco product flavor enhancer and 665.010D. So a tobacco product flavor enhancer, according to the CMR, means any product designed, manufactured, produced, marketed, or sold to produce a characterizing flavor when added to any tobacco product. 665.010D says no person shall sell, distribute, cause to be sold, or distributed, or offer for sale to a consumer located in the Commonwealth a flavored tobacco product or tobacco product flavor enhancer.
We have just ordered this.
Colleen, anything
No,
further?
I concur with Kathleen, just.
All right, Kathleen and Colleen, thank you. Attorney?
Yes, members of the board. Mr. Nasser was charged with violating the statute as 665 has just been set forth. And as she just read it, which correctly from 665, the applicable issue here is when added to any tobacco product. What was not said before the board is tobacco product means once again, right above that tobacco product flavor enhancer, it's defined as tobacco product means a product containing, made, or derived from tobacco or nicotine that is intended for human consumption. What was actually found on the premises was a hemp wrap, a type of wrap, a rolling, which encompasses various substances, but there is no tobacco contained in that wrap. Therefore, there is absolutely no violation of 665. There is an issue with regard to the local regulations. Just to prove my point, the state, with regard to the Massachusetts Municipal Association, has put out a local policy with regard to banning or limiting rolling papers, which is defined within the Mendon regulations as any type of wrap. If I may, I could submit to the board the municipal. It lists there are 36 towns, including Mendon, which have adopted the regulation with regard to rolling papers, which within the town regulations includes wraps. And which encompasses about 10.3, Massachusetts has 351 cities and towns, as I'm sure you know. 36 of them are listed there as having adopted that regulation. That's a fairly recent one. I believe it's April 2025 that have adopted that particular language, which is about, as it stated, 10.3% of the towns and a little over 12% of the population of the state. And from my understanding from Mr. McClellan, that was part of the adoption in 2023 on the top of your town of Mendon tobacco regulations, which became effective in January 2024. There, it was added wraps and tobacco wraps and rolling paper were added to the substances which are prohibited in the town of Mendon. And I assume you have those regulations here. I could give. Okay. So actually, in the 665 actually that retailers, when they are notified of a violation, being given the reasons for that violation. So clearly, the notice was defective. I mean, there is a town of Mendon regulation, as shown by that. The state lists Mendon as one of those towns. And so I'm not disputing the fact that it's a town of Mendon regulation. When Mr. Nasser was notified of this violation, and he was notified of the violation that he could face $1,000 fine and up to 30 days of suspension for this. Obviously, very distraught, very upset. He's been in business over 3 years. This is the first time he's ever been noticed with any violation. He's been inspected multiple times, both by the town and the state. And all of a sudden, you know, he's told that you have a major violation going on here, which obviously is not correct. The maximum that would be allowed under the town of regulations, if you look at first violation of a town, your own regulations, it's $100 fine. That would be the maximum. But I would argue that under these circumstances, where you had a relatively new regulation, and as Chairman Greenberg had mentioned, it was giving opportunity, a fair opportunity to comply with regulations. Had he been told about it, he would have removed it immediately. He wouldn't have had to go out and spend all this money attorney and try to figure out what was going on here. And in all fairness, under these circumstances, considering the defective notice and the confusion all around, obviously, and as to what was being violated, I would say that it would be fair to allow him, which he's removed anyway, immediately, those products, and that he be given a warning for the future as someone who's trying to be a good corporate citizen and trying to comply with both the town and the state regulations.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, again, this is not a town local violation. This is a state of Massachusetts violation, which has been cited. And this state violation has been in effect in Massachusetts since June of 2020.
If I could,
Yes, Kathleen.
I would just like to clarify that in the case of a first violation, if we are considering this a first violation, it is a $1,000 fine. It is not up to 30-day suspension. So we can take that suspension. First violation of state law is a $1,000 fine. This retailer did receive a warning prior to this for failure to have a doorbell or buzzer on an adult-only establishment. And I would also like to reiterate the tobacco product flavor enhancer is any product designed, manufactured, produced, marketed, or sold to produce a characterizing flavor when added to any tobacco product. So a product flavor enhancer itself is not required to be tobacco. It is something to which tobacco is added or which is added to tobacco. So while the hemp wraps are not tobacco themselves, they do produce a characterizing flavor when tobacco is added to them, which is their purpose.
I agree.
If I may,
Yes.
if I could present, Mr. Well, first of all, I just want to add that I disagree strongly that hemp wraps are tobacco products. If it were tobacco products, the state would not put out a local advisory explaining how to add rolling papers, wraps and the town would not have put out a new regulation stating that tobacco, adding rolling papers, sheets, rolls, tubes, cones, wraps, or leaves that do not contain tobacco, which are used for rolling cigarettes, either by hand or with a roll machine, wraps. So the town actually put out a separate regulation. You will not find that in 665. Had it been in 665, obviously the town would not have put a separate regulation. It's illogical. So I disagree strongly with their characterization that to be added to tobacco means that a wrap is added to tobacco. It just doesn't make any sense. But, and I say that the state agrees by putting out that advisory. So if I could have Mr. Nasser say a few words.
Chairman, we had, this is the product that I didn't just bought recently. When we opened the store, I have the invoices that I bought this in 2023. It's been sitting on the front shelf, not in the back room. It was sitting there since then. I had multiple inspections. Ms. Colleen, even last year, we went through everything from entering, checking every individual's ID upon entering. We went through keeping the humidors locked. We have 2 humidors. We went through the signage 21 plus outside and warning signage and everything with the counter. We went through that compliance later for the vape products. We have that in the store. Just right before that about the doorbell, Ms. Colleen was there in our store. I know we didn't get a chance to look through every single thing, but just a general inspection, even that time. Massachusetts DOR, it's been in our store for the last, 2023 we opened. They've been there at least twice a year. They come for inspection, certified inspection. They've seen the product sitting there on the shelf. This is not a tobacco wrap. Tobacco wrap, they are legal in Rhode Island in a bunch of states. They are, but this is a hemp wrap, and I agree with it that this is this kind of area. And as soon as Colleen told us, we put it in the bag. Put it in a box. I'm not even dealing with it, returning it to the wholesaler and stuff. It's not that big of an issue for me because it wasn't selling. It's still there. It's not like I'm selling a flavored tobacco. But if this comes on my record, even the first offense, this is a big offense. This is like, this is the same thing as I'm selling a flavored tobacco vaporizer in the store, which is like a big deal. That's why I really consider you guys to think about it. And I'm always, even in the office, I visit both of them every so often, like to see what's going on, anything change. I'm trying to be on top of this.
Tom?
Well, personally, I believe there's too much verbiage and ambiguity here between language that the state is citing and actually in our own tobacco regulations that we actually may be addressing in agenda item 4C. So because of the ambiguity that I feel exists here, I do not feel that this should be a citable offense.
Joyce?
Well, again, I'm agreeing, I think, with Tom this time because I think that it's because it's so ambiguous. It's not making sense to me. I like to have things make sense so that I can do it. So, you know, I'm not comfortable with it.
I'm reading our regulation and the town of Mendon, if I understand it correctly, we are allowed to be more strict than the state, but not less strict than the state. Correct.
Correct.
So when I read here and I read tobacco product containing or made or derived from tobacco. When you put tobacco in any kind of a wrap, it becomes product containing tobacco.
But aren't we saying the wrap itself is hemp?
Yeah. But when you put tobacco in it and make the finished product, it's containing tobacco. However, you know,
But is it an assumption only tobacco is gonna be put in that wrap?
yes, I'm making that assumption because you're right. Something else could be put in that wrap in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, if I may, you have to then go back to look at the definition of tobacco product, because tobacco product flavor enhancer has to be read with, right above it, the definition of tobacco product. You're correct when you say when added to it, any tobacco product, and you could try to characterize a wrap being put together with tobacco, calling it. However, if it's still, you have to go back to tobacco product in order to reach that definition. And tobacco product means a product containing, made, or derived from tobacco. So, you
It
know,
does also say a part or accessory of a tobacco product in the tobacco product definition. I would consider a hemp wrap used to roll tobacco in as an accessory.
yes, but the state doesn't agree with you because they had issued an advisory how to add wraps to the definition of tobacco product. So apparently your supposition has not been accepted by the state of Massachusetts, as shown by the advisory that I just handed out. Very confused, especially for a retailer trying to
And
say,
again, I'm going back to the point that the town does have the ability to be more strict than the state,
is
not
correct.
less strict.
correct.
Kathleen, your recommendation?
My recommendation would be to uphold the violation and impose the fine.
Colleen?
I stand with the regulation.
So we need a motion to uphold the fine and the violation and the fine, and we'll take a vote. So someone want to make a motion, please?
Well, since I disagree with the citing, as I mentioned, I don't think I should be making that motion.
I have a problem with it as well.
No,
so,
that's fine.
This is not making sense to me. At this moment, it's not making sense, so, I mean, I can make a negative,
Mhm.
Make a motion to not go the other way.
yeah, you want to make, go ahead, and I'll second.
Well, hang on one second,
Oh,
if I may.
yeah,
What are our options? Can we table this?
You can, absolutely,
Right, we
you know,
don't-
to
we
take
don't-
it under advisement and then, you know, put it on as an agenda item in 2
For
weeks.
further discussion?
I mean, is it gonna change in 2 weeks? You know, it may not, so either you have a motion to uphold the violation. If you don't have a second, then it dies. You have a motion to waive the violation and you have a second and a vote. That's the vote.
Okay.
It's up to the board if you want to take it under consideration though.
Well, I could tell you probably in 2 weeks, my position probably won't change.
Okay.
And, you know, I haven't done any research on this, so, you know, I'm happy to research it with you and do stuff. Just at this point, it doesn't make sense to me, but, you know, I'm willing to.
The research is the regulation. So in what Kathleen, Attorney Stramer, brought forth. So that, you know, and if it's not making sense to you, it's not gonna change.
Well,
So do we make a negative motion?
You can make, and I mean, you can
Right.
certainly make a motion,
To enforce?
correct?
Would that be amicable there?
Well, you know, I
Lack of
don't
a
think
better
it's-
word?
well, I don't, amicability comes into play. I think it's just based on viewpoints being expressed.
Right.
Based on, I think, described information and information that is present. So I'd be making a motion based on that, not so much, not amicability.
Well, just so that we can, if things aren't gonna change in 2 weeks,
right.
then where we are.
So, well, that being given, my motion would be to not cite and vape and smoke shop for the violations that were presented.
Waive the $1,000 fine,
There's no,
right?
there'll be no issue of waiving if they're not citing.
That's what I'm.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I can make,
Do we have a vote?
John, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, nay. I'm not an expert in this area, to rely on my experts. It may very well be a more legal thing with the definitions, and I'm not an attorney. Where we stand. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
No fine.
But to me, in this, at the same moment, you should be researching the things that I'm going to be researching myself too.
It's one of those areas, if I may, I worked in smoke shops for like over 16 years before it wasn't even a smoke shop for other people, obviously. This is my first one, you know. But the people I was just working like 3 years before this, and it's in Revere. They have location in Revere, in Chelsea, in Newton, and it's pretty much the same thing like that we are facing over here. One town, Somerville, would be totally banning every single thing, and then Everett would be okay with everything. That includes hemp wraps, hemp, even flavored hemp vaporizers. And she would know too. It's like up to now they're selling it in Newton, you know, flavored hemp vaporizers. And it's totally, if you go by your definition, that's all, the whole shelf is illegal.
Banned by the everywhere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm not gonna even
Kathleen,
continue
thank
carrying
you.
it in the stores.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. I'll be talking to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
That's probably going to benefit.
Thank you.
In the future.
Chief.
Yes,
Okay, so we're gonna move up to 4A.
correct.
Yep.
A new business 4A 106 Millville Street discussion. Folks, if you want to come up. Ask everyone to identify themselves, please. Hello. Good to see you.
Hi, Chairman. Yeah, I'm not really on the screen. Hi, Danielle Gurjo. I am the town's animal inspector. I got married.
I
Yeah.
catch it on.
Yeah.
It's not a rumor anymore.
Susan Banner with Animal Control.
Kevin Sullivan, Animal Control.
Dave Kersey, Police Chief.
Very nice to see you all. Thank you for waiting patiently. How can we help?
So, I'm sure you guys have seen my report. I sent out a lot of information. I know it's a lot. We've been having an ongoing issue over at 106 Melville Road. It started out with loose dogs back in June, end of May, beginning of June, and through into July and August. Then all of a sudden it turned into a livestock issue. And since then it has been a repeated livestock issue with dogs issue. I'm coming to the Board of Health for the sake of the livestock issue. The two women that are currently occupying 106 Melville Road is Elizabeth and Julia Bonner. It's mother and daughter. They acquired 9 horses, 6 goats, 3 call ducks, 2 zebu calf.
Partridge.
Pretty much. And brought them in from out of state, from Connecticut, from the livestock auction. And from there, it turned into a couple issues. For the Board of Health's sake, anything that comes from livestock auction outside of horses is technically on a 72-hour slaughter whenever it leaves livestock auction, and that's federally. So anything purchased from auction within 72 hours outside of it being a horse is supposed to be slaughtered. That it never occurred. That's number one. Along with that, any horse or animal coming into the state of Massachusetts from outside of the state of Massachusetts has to have a health certificate. None of them do. From there, all these animals came in on a Saturday. They purchased them from an auction. On Monday, we visited the property, and they had actually removed 6 of the horses at the time and hid them. They were actually, we found out they were hidden in Hopedale. Afterwards, we found that out much later, but they hid them. We were originally told that they were brought back to Connecticut, which they were not. And then from there, we had the state gave them a quarantine. And when the Department of Agriculture gave them a quarantine, which I guys issued the reports for those as well. When that quarantine was issued, they've just repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again violated the quarantine. Moving horses in, moving horses out, losing horses, losing cattle. Currently, one of their cattle actually escaped from their property, made it down Pleasant Street, broke through the hot wire fence of Mr. Hawks, and is now commingling with his 130 head of cattle. Where this becomes a bigger issue is all that happened prior to there being a health certificate. And upon our inspection today, the other calf that was with this calf has a zoonotic disease that we just found out about right now, like a half hour ago. It has ringworm, which is incredibly contagious to both other livestock and to people. And it's now over at another farm with 130 head of cattle. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, not to interrupt, but is the owner of that farm aware of this reason?
Nope, I literally found out a half hour ago
Yeah.
with Danielle and ACO Banner. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to be taken, but it is. From there, whenever we've gone there, there's been limited resources for food. There has been, on multiple times when we've gone there, there's been unsanitary, dirty stalls. On multiple times when we've gone there, there's been tonight there was 2 stalls inside the barn. There was 2 stalls with animals in it, or 4 stalls with animals in it. 2 of the stalls had no water. One of the stalls had no bedding. 3 of the stalls had dirty bedding. I mean, it's just there's nothing great for the care of animals. And again, I'm still trying to pertain strictly to Board of Health stuff. We have a lot of other legal issues going on with dogs and kennel licenses and such. From there, the condition in which the house is being kept, where the dogs were being kept, was incredibly unsanitary. There's like a small 2-room like apartment in the back of the property. And in that 2-room apartment, it was just absolutely covered in feces and trash. And they were maintaining dogs in there. It also today, when I was there with Danielle asked me if they still had any dogs there. They said no. They're keeping the dogs not in the apartment anymore, but rather inside of the trailers. There's a older mobile home in the parking lot. Then there's a horse trailer that also has a living quarters in it. They have extension cords running to at least, I think, one of the trailers, not the motorhome. Again, we couldn't see inside to see it. I didn't see any lights because again, it was getting dark when we were there. But again, based on what we saw in the apartment, it's bad. Like there's, and then they have the large run-in rink down below the inside arena, and that's just strewed with feces all over the place. I do have to say that there was 3 horses down in there. There is a large water trough down in there, so those horses have water. And over our last time we had horses escape was last Thursday. We had all 5 horses running free. ACO Banner, myself, along with men and police and 5 volunteers, spent just over 3 hours outside chasing 5 horses. Actually, 3 of the volunteers that assisted were from Paws Bed and Biscuit. So if you see any of the staff over there, make sure you send them a big thank you. We sent him lunch on Friday as a thank you to him from us. But yeah, no, it's been a lot. It's been a whole lot. So I went to the selectmen and I requested the selectmen issue a cease and desist for the kennel license. And I had sent a request over to the Board of Health requesting a cease and desist from the Board of Health for the operation of an animal facility on the property, based solely on condition of the animals and the numerous violations of quarantine order. And the Board of Health or Board of Selectmen did vote to recommend the cease and desist to the Board of Health and uphold whatever your decision was. We're trying to mitigate a problem and help a whole lot of animals out at once, and it's just becoming problematic. I should mention that the mother and daughter duo that are over at the property were charged with animal cruelty just a year ago in another town in Canton, where they had 2 horses removed from their care for lack of care by MSPCA. There was long reports from MSPCA essentially for the lack of care and through Canton Animal Control. They did Stoughton District Court did a pretrial probation for them in August. And part of their pretrial probation was they were allowed to maintain their 4 dogs. They had to keep their 4 dogs licensed. They had to keep their 4 dogs restrained, and they weren't allowed to have any access to livestock. In August, they went to Stoughton District Court and requested early release from their probation for good behavior. Stoughton District Court granted it. I should mention that technically they had purchased their mule prior to that release from Stoughton District Court. We did make Stoughton District Court aware of it. Also, we had numerous violations of the dogs running free prior to that date. We made Stoughton District Court aware of it. And then along with that, we had issues with them not having their dogs licensed, and we made Stoughton District Court aware of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know it's a stressful situation. I'm very familiar with that property. If my fellow board members don't have any opposition, I'd like to hear from our animal inspector next.
No opposition.
No,
Danielle, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Tom, yes. So I was made aware of the ongoing issues by Jack and then Kevin. We've been talking the past couple of days to coordinate a time as to when we could go out all together. Really, Kevin covered it in terms of, what I can do definitely I can make recommendations to the board. I don't have the authority to take away the livestock animals, but we can definitely consult with the agency that does. What I saw tonight is two women that I think had good intentions at one point, but are overwhelmed in all aspects, financially, emotionally, physically. And I think unfortunately the animals are suffering for it. Some animals do look better than others. Definitely the zebu, the mini cow is what stuck out, it having that disease. And one of the women actually has ringworm from the cow. So it is infectious. I did ask to gain entry to, I guess, the apartment that is in the barn, and I was refused, and that's all I can do. But yeah, the property is very well maintained. There's a huge manure pile that is probably goes up to at least half the height of this building. That's just continuing to grow. They don't have a plan to maintain it, to get rid of it. They did make mention that they plan on leaving within the next couple weeks. And I had asked if the animals plan on going with them, and they said yes. So I'm just kind of concerned about that as well. I did ask if the vet had gone out to see some of the animals, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
No. So I just don't think, from what I've seen today, and again, Kevin has more history at the property, I just don't think that they're equipped to handle what they have.
I actually went out there today as well, because I feel like I need to do that. And I was astounded at how bad it looks, and the windows were broken. Some of the windows were broken. The apartment, I mean, I knew the Kellys when they owned that property, and it was pristine. Everything, they had horses, and it was beautifully set up. And I was astounded at how everything looked filthy, and it was just very demoralizing to me that they would have all those animals there in such a mess.
Can I redirect back? Just to give a little more headway here. The mother and daughter combo, they're there for all intents and purposes, are squatters. They have no lease. They don't rent. They came on and started staying with a previous tenant.
Yeah.
Tenant vacated the property, they stayed. So there is that as well. And obviously, like I said, I think the board really needs to make some movement in, towards this, for the sole purpose of, I'm genuinely concerned about one of those horses making it to a road again, as last Thursday, 2 of the horses almost got wiped out. Someone's going to get killed.
Right.
And it's my biggest concern. I don't want to see anyone injured. I don't want to see anyone hurt. And I do want to mention that to date, they have canceled 3 vet appointments that were scheduled. As of last Wednesday, they were having 165 bales of hay delivered, which today we went there and there was still no hay. And I will go back and send you pictures from only a month ago to now. The animals are 100% thinner. This is the time where if you're a horse person, you would know that this is when you're putting weight on the animals leading into winter. We are definitely losing weight. I have pictures of these horses from weeks ago you could barely see ribs. Now you can see faint ribs on most of them. I just feel like we're heading in a really just bad spot.
What is it that the board, there are no animal regulations, so we can't issue a cease and desist for the operation of an animal facility because we don't have regulations. So what exactly is it what is the mechanism to take the animals?
So, I'm currently working with Corporal Erskine. We're looking at a couple different options there. but I think what the board can do is even without animal regulations as a public health nuisance.
Yep. You can cite them for a nuisance.
Them for a nuisance, and I think that what you can do is give them remedial action to rectify the nuisance, which would be to vacate any animal from the property. From what I've looked up. So, the board can vote to issue a nuisance complaint and order remedial action, which would be the removal of the animals. So although not necessarily a cease and desist, it is in terms of a cease and desist for remedial action because of the number of complaints they've had.
I think another term that could fit here is abatement of the nuisance.
Yes.
And as an abatement, you can do many things in that wording, whether to
You can make
remove,
recommendations, yeah.
destroy.
Yeah.
Well, that falls under our purview.
But we can issue that order and the removal. Who's removing them?
Well, at the end of the day, it would just start out, it would be their responsibility to do so. You would give them a time frame to do so.
Right,
If
no,
it's-
I understand
yeah.
that, but when they don't and they're not.
When they don't, then what would happen is the Board of Health would have to file in municipal court the same as anyone else would do. It's, they are stating they're intending to vacate the property in 10 days. I don't necessarily see that as being the case. I don't know. Again, it's nothing from what we've been told has come to fruition. Nothing from what we've been told has been able to be proven. Everything they've said they've done, even the steps that they started to take, they then canceled or changed or stopped. Like I said, as of last week, we were told 165 bales of hay were coming last Wednesday. Even tonight when we went to go leave, they said they were on their way to go pick up bales of hay. I mean, 7 o'clock at night, no farmer, no barn, no place is selling you bales of hay at 7 o'clock at night. I mean, it's always one story after another after another.
And the property owner is aware of all of this that's going on?
Yep.
Trying to evict them,
Yeah, we've been working with them and their attorney.
but that's gonna take time.
Yeah.
Because of Massachusetts. Can't just get rid of people, I guess.
I mean, ultimately, the care, and the maintenance of the property falls on the property owner, not necessarily the illegal tenants.
Yeah.
So if the board was to issue anything, I mean, it could certainly be to the bonus, but it should also.
But the property owner can't legally go on there and do anything because they're technically the tenants, even though the SWAT is.
Right.
So that's why I think we've tried to get through them because Massachusetts, if you're a renter or a squatter, you have the rights on the property. And like he can't go in those properties. He can't open up those doors and show us what's in there.
But there is gonna be a responsibility to clean the property up.
Afterwards, that would be to
So we want to make sure that,
Oh, I'm sure they're gonna do it. They want to rent it. He's not gonna leave it.
before we go any further, ma'am,
Mhm.
is there anything you'd like to add? Anything different?
Nope, everything Kevin covered is.
Again, thank you for your work on this. Chief Kersey, anything?
I'm just saying, we're dealing with the legal issues of it. So we're looking at search warrants, charges, and we deal with that with court orders.
Okay.
So, we were regional. So I can look.
Yes, no,
Events.
I'm, glad to see that everybody is trying to take a piece of this.
Collaborative efforts.
It's a big disappointment. I mean, even if the ringworm really has me concerned. And the fact that,
For sure.
that calf is now on another farm.
I already notified the state while we were there.
And did you talk to Peter Hawks?
I have not. I'm gonna probably swing over and see him tomorrow morning.
We would call tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, or in tonight. I would let them know as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because those are meat cows.
The minute
Right.
people
Well, they
start
have a
talking about it.
mixture.
Yeah, most of them are meat, but yeah.
That sounds big.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was reading, and I was watching the thing from the select board and stuff. Does she also have some horses over at in Hopedale?
Yeah, over on Plain Street.
Right.
Are they still there?
I'm honestly not even sure. It's kind of one of those things where the state is half there, half here. We haven't been back there. I've attempted to go twice. Nobody's come to the door at either one of the houses on the property.
Yeah.
It's And the person whose property that is, we have text message showing that they showed up over here at 106 Melville Road at 2 o'clock in the morning and removed the horses.
We just need to keep rolling along with our process, because even though she says she's leaving, she's been telling the owner of the property that she's not going anywhere. I don't know what's gonna change today from 10 days from now. There's nothing gonna change.
Tom, anything to add?
Well, I had an opportunity to review the select board meeting from last week, actually a couple of times. It was pretty amazing how extensive this problem is, how long you've been dealing with it.
The funny thing about it is she promised to take care of everything, and then I got a phone call, not even 24 hours later, there's 2 horses on my property, and that's what started everything.
Yeah.
So, not even 24 hours later.
Yeah. So, I could see a basis here, from a nuisance perspective.
Okay.
Board of Health taking action, actually personally being aware of the problem, the animals being out and about, safety concerns for the animals and for potentially residents at large with the animals.
Yeah, that ringworm,
Also that ringworm.
that's definitely in our wheelhouse.
Correct.
Joyce, anything else you want to add quickly before I start talking?
No, I just, I'm just, I'm astounded by how it was, and I went over there.
My thought at this point is, with a lot of input from our animal inspector, Danielle, that we put something together. As Tom used the term abatement.
Well, I know that it's another term used in the course of the Board of Health having oversight from nuisance problems, whether it be noise or, sight, anything like that. Abatement is also another description that's been used as well. So whether it be a cease and desist, citing public health, abatement of the nuisance, citing public health.
Personally, I like the abatement to the nuisance. I like that. So if we could collaboratively get together, formulate something, run it by the other members of the panel before we send it. And obviously, do we need to have them served?
Yeah, we can serve them if you necessary.
All right, so use that as a mechanism to get it in front of them, and see what happens. But Tom, you're a master of words. And Danielle, you know the laws, along with Colleen on the human side. So if we could put something together, that would be my proposal again, and run it by the rest of the panel here and have it served by our local police department. And maybe a copy to the landowner so that the landowner and his attorney are aware of what we're doing. Board members, Danielle, any further comments?
No, Chairman, I think the board is absolutely right. As the vice chair made mention of, you can definitely cite under MGL, the nuisance statute, because definitely this is a nuisance. And then also we could cite the state housing code, because temporary housing isn't allowed and they're living in a trailer on the property and they're running temporary wiring, and I didn't get access into the unit, but not the unit, but the trailer, and that's a violation in and of itself.
Yeah, we have a local.
That's state, yeah, housing.
We have a local thing for the trailers.
Right, you can't live in them. So where are they living, the humans?
They live in the trailers.
I think they're living, well, yeah, they stated as of today, they're 100% living in the trailers. I thought someone was still staying possibly in one of the 2-bedroom units, but they claimed today they were not. I do want to mention though, that I know they stated the dogs weren't in there, but while we were in there, you definitely heard barking coming from out those stairs.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah, I know, again,
So.
I do believe they're still keeping dogs up there, but they tried.
So they're not living in the structural building,
No.
and the landlord can't go into the structural building still?
They're
Living in the trailer is definitely against the Board of Health regulations,
Yes.
because before someone can even think of doing that, a health inspector has to go out and make sure that there's sewage and potable water.
Yeah, it needs to meet the minimum standards of human habitation, for sure. And the biggest thing right off the bat, where are they dumping their sewage?
Exactly.
Where are they getting their potable water?
But that's the other thing, and I believe there's a bylaw that in Mendon that you can't live in a trailer. unless it's.
You only need a special permit.
Right.
If I remember correctly, the select board actually issues the permit.
Yes.
Correct.
But they issue the permit after the Board of Health does the inspection, so it's sort of a two-board thing. And it's for a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And
But the other thing too is the electrical inspector, maybe like have Jack, if they're running extension cords, that's how they're getting electricity.
But they do have, I think there's 2 apartments up there.
There is the front house, and that was the one that was previously being occupied, the person that vacated.
By the lady.
And they
right.
locked that, the landlord has that locked up.
That's
And then,
locked,
and then in
okay.
back, there was like that 2-room.
yeah, that was originally when the Kellys owned it, that was for the on-board trainer.
Right.
Oh,
That's where the trainer lived.
yeah, so in that area is where,
Dogs are.
where they were staying. That's the area that's trash, that's where the dogs are, that's the area that's covered in feces and trash.
Okay, so, board, how quickly do you think we could get that written up?
I can draft something tomorrow.
Okay. All right, so we should have a pretty quick turnaround on that document. And, put it, in front of you and we'll get it out.
Do you need to take a vote or anything to?
Effective immediately.
Yeah, effective immediately. You want to make a motion for that document?
I'd make the motion that the Board of Health issue a, I don't know if the right words here, whether it's an abatement to remove the nuisance.
For a cease and desist.
Based on,
Water would be in order.
MGL regulations that allows us the ability to do that.
Maybe implement anything to it.
I
It's also
second
good
that.
to do the trailers.
All right, so we seconded, we'll have a vote.
Tom, aye?
Joyce, aye.
Al and I. All right.
Thank you all.
Make a difference.
Yeah, I think you isn't enough.
Good.
That's tough. Tough thing to deal with tonight.
Folks have been put to the limit.
Yeah, so how do you get tested for the ring alarms? Because I was close to the L2 once in one of the offices.
It's fungal. They can do like a scrape test.
You'll notice literally it's like a red circle.
Great.
Yeah,
Go look around, tell the guys too.
yeah. It is super contagious.
They can live on surfaces for a while too.
Good.
Sorry, I'll stop.
Away from the.
Someone's gonna notify Peter.
Yes, I'll give him a call. I'm gonna call everyone I leave.
I'm gonna talk to the offices because we've been around those guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dave. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
I wouldn't be hugging her right now.
I
She lived at that farm.
Oh my goodness. Hi, board, thank you. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you very much. Congratulations. All right, we're gonna move on to old business, 5 Harrington Street noise nuisance update. Folks, if anybody wants to come up, just identify yourselves, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Cindy,
Thomas Belland, 34 Crestview Drive.
Cindy Van Sled, 32 Crestview Drive.
Jeff Lucas, 33.
Thank you very much. I'll turn this over to Colleen.
So as of today, there is 1 vehicle left that the backup alarm has not been removed from yet. It'll be removed by the end of the week. Okay. So the alarms are off of the vehicles. Work with the business owner and the property owner. Consulted with the registry of motor vehicles. We consulted with his attorneys, his insurance company. We had a conversation and that's what we agreed to. So the backup alarms have been removed. They will not be put back on. There's 1 more truck and it will be done by Friday,
So they're not changing them, they're taking them completely off.
completely off.
Good.
Done.
Now, what about the engine noises?
Well, that was something that I haven't even investigated yet because I was concentrating on the backup alarms. So, I mean, engine noises is gonna be something that would probably have to be measured with the decibel.
Because I have a an audio of what I'm referring to with the brakes and the screeching and all of that, if you want to hear it. To identify if that's what it is.
But I mean, I'm sure I'll hear it, but the thing is that I have to go up there while the school is being operated. You know, and depending upon what we get for decibel readings, that would, you know, that would be an additional conversation that would have to have. And I'd have to consult with the acoustic engineer at the
Yeah.
DP.
Because like I said, the backup noise is definitely one piece of it.
That was the low hanging fruit, as I mentioned in a
Yeah.
previous meeting. And very thankful that that's
But it's
being mitigated.
the roaring of the, you know, they turn around, they do their air brake thing or whatever, and the horns, and so it's not just, that's a great start, definitely, but it's not all the noise, for sure.
You have a sound thing there?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll hear some.
Yeah.
So you hear the backup noise, right?
Yep.
you
But
hear
the
And that,
Beep,
that
yeah,
you're
right.
getting that from your backyard.
Right, this is right in my back deck.
I'm just.
yeah, so the backup noise is definitely something that, you know,
So the backup noise is huge.
right.
Just for the engine revving.
But that is something that you can't even hold a conversation with somebody on your deck while this is going on. So, you know, like I said, the beeping is a piece of it for sure. But there's a lot more to just, you know, never mind the fact that you can see them, you know, driving all over and whatnot, where typically, you know, the back of your house is where it's more private, you hang out, you know, and you just see constant big vehicles, you know, driving around. So, and it's loud.
And that recording just stopped, but it doesn't stop in our neighborhood.
Right.
It just goes. So again, can't say thank you enough for the backup alarm piece. That was the low hanging fruit. In my opinion, was a good one to solve. And thank you, Colleen, and the business owner and property owner for doing that. But there's still more work to do, in our opinion. So what's going to happen now is the neighbors down the street are no longer going to hear the backup alarms, right? So that's sort of like 3, 4, 5, 6, even 10 houses down. They were hearing the backup alarms because that high pitched noise just travels. So they don't hear the other noises that are heard in the 4 or 5 houses immediately around there. The brakes, the engine revving, even people yelling on occasion. So I, in our opinion, since we're the closest neighbors, there's still some more work to be done to do whatever we can to mitigate. Whether you can quiet the engines down, do something with the vehicles themselves. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about them. Or is it something with the sound engineer? Is it soundproof fencing or something that could be added to the property? I'm not sure. You know, I'm not an expert on it.
Tom, any comments?
Well, as I said, thank you, Colleen, for, you know, getting what done, that you had done with the alarms. That's great. That was the key part. You know, we were made aware there are additional noises, but the focus was on the alarms, so that's a big part of it. Obviously, it's still what I will describe as a nuisance to a group of neighbors, to the point where it is interfering with their lives on a daily basis. I know at the last meeting, I put out the concept of the cease and desist. So I do appreciate what the owner and our business owner have done in that regard. But there's still work to be done, as was stated. How best to go about that? Therein lies the question, what actions could be taken to move forward. I would also ask, I know that in the last meeting, we asked to see if the owner and business owner could be at tonight's meeting. Is that just not a possibility or?
Well, honestly, I was discussing it with them and, the start was the backup alarms. They asked me if I thought that they should be here and I actually told them that that there wasn't a need for them to be here. So that's on me.
Okay. But they were willing to come?
Absolutely.
And I did mention last week that it's not just the backup alarms. There are other noises associated with, even though I heard a lot of, and it was like, okay, great, they're gonna do the white sound. It's like, whoa, wait, it's not just the backup noise, but greatly appreciate that
So we
piece
have
of
to
it.
be, I wasn't up there concentrating on revving engines and horns blowing. So,
So obviously, if that noise at the time that your inspection isn't present, you can't
Right.
monitor it.
right.
Um,
So I'd have to monitor it while the class is being conducted, take some readings and, report back to the board.
Joyce?
Yeah, it just is, where I live, I live in the corner of Washington Street and Route 16, so I understand noises and stuff, and it's demoralizing. It is, but I mean, we've been there for 60 years, so it was a quiet, wonderful place in the beginning, and now it's a lot of noise, so you have to further yourself back into the other side of Washington Street. I understand what you speak of, because it's very demoralizing.
So I did hear about I wasn't here at the last meeting, about the potential cease and desist or something like that. And, there's a time and place, I guess, for everything like that. And it comes down to planning and what is the plan going forward? What are the steps that are going to be taken? And a plan will consist of what and when it would actually happen. Right now, we know that two things have happened. One, they've adjusted their hours. Two, they're mitigating the backup alarms or eliminating them, which is great. I guess the third phase would be how else can we reduce the noise level there? And looking at a plan, coming up with some kind of plan between the board and the owners. And then what is that plan and are they following it? I would say a cease and desist, in my opinion, wouldn't be necessary unless they weren't following it or they didn't have a plan. That's just my humble opinion, but.
Dr. Lucas?
Well, I greatly appreciate, getting rid of the alarms, but, it'll be interesting to see what remains. And I believe it's still going to be, still going to be there and still going to be stress inducing and have the negative health effects that come from stress.
And I'm sorry,
I was just gonna say, well, in support of that, if that's the case, I would say at this point, as Mr. Bellins pointed out, giving maybe an opportunity for Colleen now to go for that action plan on these other items, right? Because the focus had been the alarms. And then based on that and the response and the result in the next couple of weeks, see what comes out of that. But if there were no movement there and continues, and again, it's a validation of a nuisance that exists to the residents. I'm still in that arena of doing something to abate the nuisance, to issue such an order.
Okay.
Question.
I'm sorry, yes.
If I remember correctly, have they put up sound barriers on other parts of the property? No.
No, if anything, it would be those two open areas on the property that we had discussed initially over by the culvert where the trees, but if he plants trees, you have to understand those trees that are there now, it's gonna be 9
Sure.
years.
It's gonna be, that's not gonna.
And on the other side of it as well. So, the other thing is that, when your own backyard, you could put up your own barrier. to block the noise as well.
Well, the way that our land is sloped, I would probably have to put up a 30-foot fence in order to block it because I'm at a downslope as opposed to them putting something.
The property owner, I had discussed that with him initially and he was receptive to it. So that may be something that I go back. But the thing is that you have to understand too, is that, they've worked with us and the board, quite frankly, has gotten farther than any other board in a short period of time. But if we keep on going back to them and saying, okay, now it's this and now it's this, we all have to, work together.
Yeah.
I understand that, it's your home and where you live, but also that property also has been zoned a commercial property long before your.
The only thing I will add to that, is that's true. They're licensed to do what they do, they're permitted to do what they do. But I'm gonna go back to what I said at the last meeting. No neighbor has the right to impair public health and well-being of another neighbor, period.
I'm not suggesting that at all, Tom.
No, I'm just saying,
Not at all.
they're licensed and it's zoned, but it doesn't give anyone the right to do something that impairs another neighbor. That's all I wanted to highlight.
Harrington used to be a rural road. So I do not believe that it was business zoned.
Regardless of that, and that my point is that the business is going to continue to exist. As we have done from the very first time that you came here, we have worked with the property owner and the business owner. We'll continue to do that on your behalf. I have every intentions on going back to them. But at some point, I'm hoping that if they're agreeable to a barrier, if that is what the research dictates as far as the decibel readings go, for the revving of the engines and the horn blowing, that, we could, at some point, we'll all have to come to an agreement that it's probably as good as it's gonna get. But I will, as I've done since you came here, make every effort to mitigate the situation.
With regards to the backup alarms, I wasn't an expert on it, but nor am I now. But it was in a safety zone that I'm comfortable with because having a safety background, and I knew the regulations on that, and I'm glad that there's progress there. And
It was just a matter of researching, so that everyone got to the comfort.
Yes.
That they, he needed to, the business owner needed to consult with his attorney to make sure there was no liability. So that all took time,
Right.
but it
that was my
learning experience.
my comfort zone. Talking about that, these other noises, I don't know if there's low hanging fruit there. Is there a way to insulate an engine? Maybe there's some practices that could be changed. Do they have to really rev those engines up? Can't they use a lower gear? I know enough about trucks to know that you don't have to rev them up to 5,000 RPM to drive 25 feet.
If you don't know how to drive, you do.
Correct.
And unfortunately,
Hence, it's a school for new
yeah,
drivers. I get it.
believe me, that guy behind the gas pedals, not happy that he's doing that because
Right.
he's embarrassing himself.
He's probably shortening the life of the vehicle as well. So there's things that can be done. Again, it's not my wheelhouse. So maybe there's some things that could be done just operationally that could be easily transferred to the drivers, the school, that could make things a little bit better. And then maybe eventually there's something else that has to be done with the lot itself. I'm not sure what that is. That's way out of my league as far as what an engineer would require or ask for or recommend for a property like that. I don't really know. But there could be some, in talking with the business owner, there could be some small adjustments that we'll take any help, any reduction in noise. It could be, you pick a time of day when you're going to do the air brakes. We know from 10 to 10:30 or 10:45 that it's air brake time. If they want to communicate that to us, we could maybe work with that, right? The engine revving, I know just from my own meager background in mechanics, that you don't have to rev engines. It could be something where they use a lower gear, so you're not hearing that blaring sound for 25 seconds every 10 minutes, you know, so, because it's something it's very loud and disruptive. So, anyway, that's as far as I'll talk tonight, and that's the limit of my expertise in mechanical issues or sound barriers on properties and things like that.
No, thank you very much. And, appreciate you working with us. Colleen has been chipping away at this. She's been working with the property owner and with the owner of the driving school. I think she's made great progress in a relatively short period of time.
Absolutely.
And, the board obviously is well aware that that wasn't the total ask. Okay, when you presented your letter, you mentioned the revving and, the squealing or the air brake noise. I know there were like 3 things that you had outlined in the first few sentences, along with the backup alarms. So, we'll just keep chipping away at it in hopes that, we get it to a level that's livable. That's kind of my opinion on where we are. And I mean, we're very fortunate that, we're all kind of still agreeable. So things are getting done. And we certainly want to continue at that level. We don't want to get to the point where, as Thomas pointed out, a decision has to be made and a hard line has to be drawn. You presented, in your letter in the very beginning, that you weren't against the driving school, that you valued truck drivers that deliver all the products that we consume, but you expressed
It's very unique, and it's kind of glad it's in the town. It's just the noise, that's all.
right. And you expressed the desire to coexist, which was that kind of left the door open for the property owner and the school owner to say, hey, listen, these people aren't saying we have to go. They're saying we have to coexist. We have to be able to get along with each other. So everything has been very positive up to this point, and I don't see any reason why we're not going to continue to make some positive improvements that are going to be,
I agree.
workable.
I have to say, I mean, the property owner and the business owner have been very receptive. They have watched every single meeting since the neighborhood came to the board. So they're aware of, what you guys are experiencing, and they're sympathetic to it. And I think that just the fact that they have adjusted their operation hours, that they reconfigured the parking lot through Bill, that they have taken off the backup alarms, that they are working towards trying to be better neighbors. I don't see
Agreed. Yep.
that whatsoever. Both property owner and business owner, I really, I actually thank them both for being so open and receptive to your feelings and what you guys are experiencing, and also what the board needs to do. So I have no doubt. I honestly have no doubt.
Awesome.
So
Do you think that they could put up some kind of a sound barrier type of thing? There's a lot of, I was driving up there because I like to try to look and see what's going on in there. There's a lot of fencing in there too. I'm wondering if that could help in a certain area to have some.
Well, that's what we talked about.
Higher fence.
Yeah.
Because I was up there. I don't know what they think I'm doing, but I'm there.
You can stop by my house. Stop by my house and hang out for a while. So
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Yeah. And
get you a cup of coffee. You can hang out for a bit. So
I'm a tea.
Tea?
I'm a tea.
Okay, all right.
There's 2 areas in the parking lot, Joyce,
Yeah.
that we looked at.
Right, because I was thinking that myself, because there are some fencing and stuff in the big thing itself.
They have the
We
berms.
could
Yeah.
probably do this.
yeah, the reasons those areas were most likely, and I'm making an assumption, were most likely skipped over is because there's culverts there.
Well, maybe, yeah.
So the water that comes off of that parking lot is funneled into those culverts. And I believe there's leaching basin.
Big basin.
So, it made sense to keep those areas at the time open.
Yeah,
And I'm sure that was the plan that was approved way back when that was created the first time round. And the Amazon trucks were parking there, right?
Right.
The trailers back in the days we don't want to go back to. So, you know, if the, you know, you don't have anything else or the board doesn't have anything else, it's going to be on our next agenda and we're going to keep chipping away at it.
Do we have a date of when, and I know it was proposed that Saturdays at noon, from like noon to 4, they do classroom work, but they hadn't gotten to that point in their schedule yet.
Well, he had told me that he was already booked for, for, the month of October. So it would be something that he would look into, for the month of November. That's something that's still on the table.
And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't work towards that. Being from Blackstone Valley Tech, some of these classes run in cycles. So I'm assuming what Colleen is saying is that the cycle that they were in, when it comes to an end, I don't know if it's an 8-week or a 10-week cycle, that would be the opportunity to reconfigure Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I just didn't know if there was, when I can start to look forward to at least that.
We will get you an answer on that. Right, we can reach out to the school owner and see where they're at in the cycle.
Yeah.
And see a possible date
Mhm.
that you're gonna see some relief on that issue on a Saturday.
Mhm.
Anything else? All right.
Yeah, thanks again for your time.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
sure.
you for all your efforts. Thank you, Colleen, for
Hope I live.
meeting with everybody. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. All right, if no one has any opposition, I think I'd like to leave Mendon's tobacco regulations for next, meeting. We're already over the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
And move on to, the approval of the minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, with all the topics we had planned and given 106 kind of hit us last minute. So feel free to. Okay.
We want to hold off on minutes. We can have them. So we can easily pick that up, add to it on the agenda for 2 weeks from now.
Good.
All right, so we'll hold off on, we're gonna hold off on
September 24.
yeah, 4D,
And
and we'll add it to the next agenda. We're gonna move to 24 Kinsley Lane tight tank discussion, please.
So 24 Kinsley Lane, this was on our agenda before. This was the issue that we had that, there was the outlet pipe on the tank that's been removed. The reason why I asked Jack to put it on the agenda is because under Title V regulations, the board technically, well, the board has to or should approve the tight tank that's there. The tight tank that's there is only 1,000 gallons. It exists. There's, it's not leaking or anything like that. So the Title V regs require the tight tank to be 2,000 gallons. Jack and I spoke with Stevie Donatelli. We all agreed that it's functioning. It's there. They removed the outlet pipe. They installed the alarm that's required. So the tank itself is there. He's on a pumping schedule every 30 days. We get the pump slips. I mean, if he wanted to put in a 2,000 gallon tank, it would be less pumps for him, but that's the property owner's decision. For the board's purposes, I wanted the board to acknowledge that there's a tight tank there because I'd like to send a letter to the property owner and have him put a deed restriction on the deed,
yeah.
so that when he ever decides to sell it, the prospective buyer knows this property has a tight tank. There's a maintenance schedule involved here, so there's no surprise. prices.
Tom,
I buy it.
Joyce,
Me too. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah,
my,
that makes all kinds of sense to me.
my only question is, do we have all the paperwork that we requested?
The what, I'm sorry?
All the paperwork we
We
requested.
were looking for, to make sure that not only was the alarm in, but there was a permit pulled. The engineer was gonna get some documentation.
The engineer had said that the tight tank was approved by the DEP and it wasn't.
Okay,
We did our research there. We contacted DEP. Usually when the DEP approves a tight tank like that, that gets recorded at the registry of deeds. We spoke with Mr. Nina. Mr. Nina confirmed that he thought that it had been, but it was not.
okay.
And also speaking with Stevie Donatelli, the DEP no longer approves the tight tanks. It's the local that approves them. So mostly for the deed restriction. For if he decides to sell the property, so that there's no surprise in that the prospective buyer knows that, one, there's a tight tank there, it's only 1,000 gallons. You're gonna be on a 30-day pump.
And that's a one bedroom,
Yep,
okay.
And two people living in it.
yeah, a husband and wife.
Yeah.
Well, if we have everything that we need and it's all in order,
And we got the Title V too, Alan, to answer your question. We got the Title V.
okay.
Sorry.
I'm fine with the deed restriction. Conditional approval.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That the board approves the 1,000 gallon tank that's there. The property owner, like I said, if they wanted to increase it to 2,000 gallons, they could.
And the reason for us approving it is because you cited that our regulation requests,
Title V,
Title V
yeah,
requests 2,000 gallon tank.
yes. But in this case, the tank already exists, so there's no reason for the board to require him to increase that tank to 2,000 gallons.
Right.
What I'm asking for the board is for the board to approve the 1,000 gallon, the tight tank itself on the property. And then further request the property owner to place a deed restriction on the property for the tight tank and the pump schedule.
Does the property owner do that deed restriction or do we have the town?
They do the deed restriction.
They do it.
Property owner does. it?
Yes, we get a copy of it.
Okay, so
Once it's recorded, we get a copy of it.
that's the validation that we know.
Yes.
So, motion?
I make a motion that we do the deed restriction for the tight tank and on 24 Kinsley Lane
And the maintenance plan.
and maintenance plan, and deed restriction being 1,000 gallons.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Tom, aye.
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye.
Thank you. It just cleans it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of closes,
Right, the door
Door
for a
on it.
bit, yeah.
so now it's done.
And we do get the reports every month of the.
Pump, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got them all.
Yeah.
I'm just, that was just to confirm.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Board of Health admin updates, please.
All right, so we had the hazardous waste day, that was on Saturday, October 11th. As you can see from our chart, we've had 2 cars less than we did the year prior. So we had a total of 110 cars last household hazardous waste day. I haven't received in the invoice yet, so I can't tell you the exact amount of the invoice yet, but everything was good, except for a little backup. They were backed up across Morrison
For a little bit.
for a little bit.
Yeah. Even the residents were happy, as they
Yeah.
always are, that the board sponsors the event.
Cool.
Yep.
And I apologize for not being able to be there.
It's fine.
Things didn't work out very well that day. And so, but I wanted to go and bring my banana bread, but
Dude, I would have stopped by your house and brought the banana.
So that was my update for the household hazardous waste day.
Tom, any comments?
Yes, it looks like it's been pretty consistent all these years.
Right, yeah.
What we see, it's well attended. I think it's great. The only thing I might just throw out for next year, and I know that we want to consider, I think we kind of confirmed we need to hit them early to get us on the schedule.
Correct. Yeah.
I'd like to see if maybe we can shoot for an earlier timeframe. I think we had this because it was what was available.
Mhm.
If we hit them up early, I'm just wondering if we could do something in September versus October. That's all I would throw out there as an ask.
The only thing that I'll bring up is, the gentleman who, represented the company, did kind of throw out to us the opportunity to do a dual town. Change the location to maybe, the Misco School. And we could split the setup cost. The setup cost is currently $2,900.
Yeah.
So splitting the cost with another town for the setup would be a huge savings. The technical things are, Harvey, our contract, this is subsidized. So we'd have to kind of figure out how to do that if the other town, let's just say Upton, they may use Harvey, but not have the same contract. They might not do a hazardous waste day, or they might do a hazardous waste day in a different fashion. So there's it's not as plain as just saying, hey, we got another town that'll do it with us, and we'll change the location and split the cost of the setup fee. It's a little more involved than that.
Okay.
But kind of was thrown out to us as an option to shave some dollars and cents off. And that, I remember when I first got involved, that setup fee was $700 or $800,
Yeah,
and it just keeps going up.
yeah, that's like you
So-
say back in the day.
Just something to think about,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of moving pieces to make something like that work. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
All right, senior discount form discussion.
Well, as you remember, when we had that survey discount done for the student discount, you guys wanted a reminder of new form needs to be designed and how you guys wanted to do the program next year. Well, I'm gonna need to have that form designed by the end of November to get it into the billing for the census. So next week or next meeting, I'm gonna need the board's final way of how you want to do the senior discount program next year.
Okay. And I know when we last talked about it, I know I needed just some additional time myself to kind of take in all those comments that came to us to kind of figure out how I would ultimately speak to what, if any changes should happen based on the commentary we got. But obviously we have to kind of, time's up.
Yeah, we got a deadline now.
Got a deadline.
Yeah, November 13th,
Okay, so put that on the agenda for the next
but
meeting.
already on the agenda.
Very good, Tom, that's doable.
Yeah, I mean, now we know we kind of have to study up.
Okay, so try to iron that out.
Over to you, Joyce.
All right, thank you. Health agent updates, please.
Well, those things that I talked about, and as far as we're winding down on, the, mobile food truck. Saturday's gonna be a very busy day. There's 2 events in Mendon on Saturday.
Another day, what are they? Crazy.
Yeah, 2 events.
Where?
Garrison Speed Shop and then Memorial Park.
That's the chili cook-off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that last year.
Yeah, and then, Memorial Park, the Lions, the fundraiser, that's at, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
What's that fundraiser for?
The Oktoberfest.
Oh,
The
that's,
soccer.
Yep,
okay.
so I'll be there.
And do they have trucks?
Yep,
You're gonna have 2.
yep. Then Vanderbilt, will be, I think this is their last weekend. And then they have, a couple of special weekends here and there. Which will be good.
Little bit of a break
Yeah, for Friday, the last Saturday, I mean, it was busy, it was busy. You know, the Cranberry Festival, that took place was packed.
Yeah, it was, huh?
So anyway,
Nicely packed or
always nicely packed.
Yeah.
People are very happy up there. They love that venue, love that venue. They really, truly do. They love that venue. You see a lot of happy families and kids, and it's nice to see. It's just nice to see, and, the Band of Ox are a great family to work with. It's truly my pleasure.
You know, they're gonna be, making some changes up there.
Yep.
Forthcoming.
Yep.
I think
Better
that-
what?
Well, they have another part of their property now that they're looking to expand to do, I guess,
Across the
events
street?
across the street, the A-frame.
Yeah, is that gonna be a brewery?
So then I think they're gonna be looking to get approval for licensing as a brewery, winery, and they're considering, although not definitively decided on, moving what they do at 25 Bubble Road, which is the main farm, over to 18 Bubble Road, which is across the street. And it's got its own parking area there as well, but
Right.
that's still in play. I happened to be part of the select board meeting last week. I watched the end of it, had the topic about 106, and I just went back to the beginning, and we're only at 2.5 hours. They had over a 3.5 hour meeting now.
That's okay, we don't have to compete.
They had a lot going on, like 3 or 4 different public hearings. That was one of them.
All right. Topics not anticipated.
None.
Joyce, anything?
No,
I got nothing this time. Good and welfare for the board. Excuse me.
Nothing.
Next meeting,
It's gonna be November 13th, the day after the special town meeting,
It's a Thursday.
Thursday, and it's gonna be in the fishbowl,
I like Thursday.
no.
fishbowl,
Okay, I don't mind the fishbowl.
Thursday.
Thursday, November 13th, 6 PM, fishbowl.
Okay.
be a lot of reminders on that. Have to start like a week in advance. Okay, so, but you said November 13th was the deadline for the senior citizen discount.
No, that's when we have our meeting. You need to
Okay,
finalize, so then I can give it to Ellen in time for her to get it census.
okay. When's the census go on?
She has to give it to the printer at the end of November. She gave me an end of November date.
Okay.
So after November 13th, but before the second meeting.
Just want to make sure I'm on board. Okay, so we need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Tom, aye.
Joyce, I.
Al and I.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Night,
all very
everyone.
much.
Good job, you guys.
Yeah,
Was I
we're very busy.
out of line?
With
Gasco?